Hey guys, so welcome to a random corner of my room. Get yourself a cup of coffee, get yourself a cup of tea, because today we are going to be talking about the past. I will say, trigger warning, this week has been a whole lot of going back to the past and trying to correct my past mistakes. I won't go into too much detail with that, but one of the reasons is because I had a message from you guys and it really brought me back to the past. As shallow as this may sound, usually I would ignore or just respond through email to respond to messages like this, only because I really don't like bringing back the past. I don't think anyone likes to think of the past, but I know for me, I had a really rough past, so I don't love thinking about it, but I'll just let this out because I think it's gonna help someone out there. So let's get started, guys. So this person, this is what she wrote. I love you so much, Steph. However, I came across your eating disorder story. I apologize dearly if things I'm about to say is triggering. And I have watched it before, but I watched it again because recently I've been doing a lot of things like throwing up and eating little, and I've lost a lot of weight in the past couple months. I've tried to seek help, but my family thinks there's nothing wrong with, and I got pushed to the side as usual. I'm just so lost right now with my finals in 2 weeks' time, which I know I'll fail. I'm constantly feeling lightheaded and I'm a huge failure. I have gotten a lot of emails like this, but it is triggering to me. It's just really depressing to bring back the past. I so know that honestly, 16-year-old me, I wouldn't be surprised if I wrote the same exact things to a YouTuber. When I was going through an eating disorder, I know that I messaged a YouTuber that claimed she got over an eating disorder, and I remember the disappointment I felt when I didn't get a response from her. Yeah, the recovering process was just really long and nasty, so I was hoping that I could be the YouTuber that I wished I was able to talk to when I was going through an eating disorder. So I hope I can help, and I hope you'll get something from this. So first of all, when it comes to eating disorders, I feel like there's two sides to it. One is an emotional side, an emotional longing of being understood, and another side where it's more like you're looking for concrete answers as to how to overcome the eating disorder. So I'm gonna cover both sides in this video. So first, in terms of the emotional side, I highly recommend you to get a counselor or a therapist, but I know that it's not easy to do, and I know that some schools don't even have one. So if it's not possible, then try to surround yourself with people that understand you. For example, what got me through it was, although it didn't help me overcome my eating disorder in any way, I remember I used to look up YouTubers all the time about people who had eating disorders so that I know that I could get over it one day. And another thing I did was, especially because when I was going through my eating disorder, it was right after I moved to Japan, so I didn't even know any Japanese, so I couldn't talk with anyone, literally. So YouTubers were my therapist, my friends, the people who I made jokes with and laughed with. Yeah, you have to do something. And girl, I hate reading books, but when I was going through my eating disorder, I read so many books. It's like a miracle that I was able to read that many books. Try to surround yourself with people who understand, and if there is no one around you near, I hope I could be by talking to you like this through this video as of the concrete ways of overcoming an eating disorder. People who have eating disorders, I know for me, for example, we try so hard to shut out our bad eating habits, our triggers, our binges. We just try to force it out, and the more you force it out, the more it's gonna come back at you. I want you to think of it like this. Imagine your triggers to throw up or your triggers to treat yourself in an unhealthy way. Compare that to a crying baby. Say you have a crying baby in your hand. Most likely the baby's crying because it needs something. If you just try to cover its mouth or just shut it up, maybe eventually it'll shut it up, but inside it's gonna be even more scarred, and it's not gonna do anything good for the baby. You know what I'm saying? I haven't 100% overcome it, but I realized in the past month it's gotten drastically better because of how I looked at my eating disorder. And there's two things that I did. One, a subscriber sent me an audiobook called The Power of Habit, and I'm so thankful. That book changed my life. The part in that book that I used to help me overcome my eating disorder is, whenever you have an eating disorder, sometimes it happens unconsciously because it's just cue and you do it, a cue, you do it. So this is what I did in a little post book. I wrote these questions so that I could read it every time I want to binge. When do I binge? What am I trying to avoid? What is under the binge? What are you scared of? And every time I do have a trigger to want to binge, at the back of the notebook, I wrote an X on it. And yes, there's only one X. Can you believe that? What I noticed is that by tracking when I know my binges and being aware of it, I don't know, you kind of learn how to control it a little bit. Have a little notepad like this, and every time you want to binge, just mark the back. And then try to find out what was the trigger to your binges or trigger to your bad eating habits. I really, really want you guys to treat your eating disorder as a friend. Communicate with it. Like, ask it like why you're there. No one just has an eating disorder. There must be some distress that's going on. Like, just really, really dig deep and ask your eating disorder, like, why? Like, why are you in my body, you know? Don't try to shut it out and like shove it out of your life, you know? That's not how you're gonna overcome your eating disorder. You really have to like communicate with it and try to find out the core, because I feel like when you have an eating disorder, that's not the main problem. The main problem is there's an underlying problem that wants to be noticed, and it's reacting and it's screaming like a baby that needs something through eating disorders. It's gonna be really hard, because I know for me, when I had an eating disorder, I seriously hated myself. And I remember like every mirror I passed, I would stick the finger into my face, and like in my notebooks I would tell myself to F myself and stuff like that. Like, it's really hard to love yourself when you're going through an eating disorder, but like you really have to be your best friend on this, because yeah, your eating disorder needs you. Like, your eating disorder needs you to understand that there's a problem inside that wants to be solved, and you have to communicate with it and try to find out what's the underlying problem. And I think that is gonna help you overcome it. If you guys would like, there's 2 books that helped me overcome an eating disorder. One is, ridiculous as this may sound, it's The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying, because that book taught me that if I'm organized in one way, it's gonna be like dominoes. If you're organized in one way, it's gonna help you be organized in many other ways and expel in other ways. For example, for me, I honestly don't think it's a coincidence, because this is my first year that I'm actually engaged in schoolwork. But for me, for example, after reading that book and being able to organize my things, I've been able to exercise more than I've ever done. I've been eating healthier than I've ever had. I've just been happier and more productive in class. Like, you guys, just please read that book. Like, it's such a good book. And the second book is The Power of Habit. And yeah, like, I hope this video helped in any way. When you have a crying baby in your arm, don't try to shut it up by putting like your fist in its mouth or forcing it to shut up. Communicate with it. Really try to understand what's the reason why it's crying out for help, and yeah, tackle it one by one within, inside. And don't forget to do this, because it really, really helped me. Every time you feel like you're about to binge, get a notepad and a pencil. Like, not only binge, but like when you're trying to harm yourself in any way, make an X on it and ask yourself, why do you want to harm yourself? Why are these feelings coming in? What is it that's going on in my life? If you guys want, go ahead and rant in the comment section. I know that not all families are supportive. I know my family wasn't able to support me when I was going through an eating disorder. So let's all be friends, guys, and encourage each other to help overcome these problems, because they're so real. Yeah, just best of luck. Life isn't always easy, but all the hardships in life in the future, that's what's going to reflect the strong person you become. As corny and cliche as that may sound, without the biggest mistakes in my life, I know that I wouldn't be here talking to you guys, and you guys wouldn't be here asking me for advice, right? Know that it's not gonna last forever, and just try to communicate with it. Thank you all for listening, guys. I hope I was able to help you guys in any way possible. Yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in my future videos. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching. Mwah.